So today I started arranging a song, and I thought I just want to take a moment to share how I get started with doing that. For me, this starts with creating an outline. So that's the sort of topic of conversation I wanted to share today. So, what is an outline? Why is it beneficial to make, and how do you create and use them? So let's think about what an arrangement is. So when we hear songs, no matter what song that is, that have been arranged and composed, no. When we hear songs, they've basically been arranged and composed by the original artist or somebody else. And so to put our take on them, what I found helpful to do is to deconstruct that song into its bare bones. And then you can then build up then based on your arrangement skills and put on top of that some of the arrangement tools that we use in music to put your spin on it. So let me give you this as an analogy. So if you were going to paint a tree from outside, you wouldn't start with painting and creating depth to a leaf. You'd probably likely sketch out what you wanted to create, right? You would sketch out what makes the tree that tree, what's its shape. You'd probably draw like a trunk and some branches, and then add some leaves on top. And so that's what we sort of do, but in a musical sense. Also, that analogy, I've never painted or drew a tree in my life, not for many years. So, I don't know if that's true, but it sounds true. So yeah, what we're basically looking at is like, what are the essentials of a song? What do we sketch? And to me, the essential of a song is two things. It is, in its simplest form, a melody and some chords. So if we take Happy Birthday, this has been arranged so many times, but essentially what we do with Happy Birthday is we sing the melody. And then also if we wanted to put a backing towards that, because that's what we do on a piano, we don't just play a melody, we also support it with something. And in the basic form of that is the chords. And so so if we want to do Happy Birthday, we need to know what the melody is, and we need to know what the chords are in their basic form. What's the bass note of that? And then from there, we can add extra layers. We can play with rhythm. We can change those chords to make it more colourful. We could start with a low sounding sound, and then halfway through go up to a high sounding sound on the piano and stuff. Just to add that shape, colour and depth as if we were painting that tree. So whether it's sort of pop music, indie music, songs from musicals, metal, country, all of these songs have the backbones of melody and chords. So I think it's really important to maybe start there when arranging songs. So how do we go about sketching out this outline then? How do we draw our melody and chords? So I've experimented with 3 ways to do this, and I'm going to share these today, and also like the pros and cons of each. So the first way is using other people's arrangements. So this is where I started out. The second way is to use chord sheets, and the third way is creating your own sheet music. So when I started out, I bought other people's sheet music, and I used to scribble out their arrangements of it. So basically I was left with the melody, and also I worked out the chords from the bass clef notes. And if you want me to show you how to do that, let me know and I can do a separate video on that. I'm not really sure who's going to see these videos, if you need me to clarify that, I can. So yeah, basically that's it. So you get someone else's sheet music and you just bring it down to its essence, like what is the melody in the right hand and what is the chords that they are playing in the left hand. And this is actually a way that I used when I arranged Welcome Home Son. So yeah, if you want to have a look at that, I might have a playlist with all my arrangement song. I might have a playlist in the description here of all the songs that I've arranged, so you can check them out if you want to. An alternative way of using other people's arrangements is basically if I couldn't find the sheet music, I would Google on YouTube just easy piano tutorials, and then I'd hope that someone has done the song that I was after. And these are quite good because in the easy piano tutorials, they literally break it down into what's the melody of the song, and they also have bass notes alongside it, which you can then work out the chords if you know the key. So in order to find out the key, is basically you can just Google this and it should tell you for the song. The other way you can do it is if you listen to, if you've got quite good ears, you can listen to the song and you're looking for the note or the chord in the song that sounds the most settled, relaxed. It feels like home. There's no tension there. It's just you feel like, I've arrived. Yeah, and then basically from there you would find that note on your instrument. I would say if you're using the alternative method of just Googling, just watch out for the guitar chord charts because sometimes they put a capo on the guitar, and so the chords in the chord sheet and the key that they're in are actually like a transposed key, not necessarily the original key, which is okay if you just want to play with yourself, but or play the song on your own. But if you're playing it with another person, like a singer or something, you might get into trouble there. So yeah, try and use the original key where you can. Okay, so that's the second way of using someone else's arrangements, and I use this for the arrangement I did on Dynamite. And just a side note here, like when we're creating music, you have to kind of use everything you can, I think, in order to produce a song. So, for example, for Dynamite, I actually learnt the bass notes from looking up the acoustic version of the song on YouTube, and I observed the piano player that was playing with Sigrid, and I worked out the bass notes based on that. So, yeah, just a side note there. Like, these are some ways you can do it, but obviously, just use what you can. So let's have a look at the pros and cons of these two ways. So these are particularly helpful if you haven't yet developed your ear. So these were the first ones that I actually used in when I was learning how to arrange, because at the time I couldn't listen to a song and work out the melody or chords just from listening. Honestly, I had like the worst ears ever and still do a little bit. And so I sort of, instead of learning an extra skill, I just needed somebody to have done this outline for me, so then I could develop my arranging chops sort of like on top of this. I guess the cons here, and one that I fell into, was that you better hope that someone has done this for your chosen song. You're a bit stuck if no one has. And there were some songs that hadn't been, there wasn't a tutorial for them, or there wasn't any kind of sheet music for it out there. So it's a bit of a struggle if someone hasn't already done this. Also, if you're using sheet music, then it's going to break the bank a bit and cost you a little money to get this. And then also another con for the tutorial side is that the tutorial actually might not be accurate, but I would say this, it's probably going to be more accurate than if you used your own ears only, particularly if you're playing by ear is not great at the moment. And finally, if you're using a piano tutorial, because it's done in real time, you may miss looking at the song in its entirety. So if you are using the piano tutorial, then you may also like this next one to solve this problem. So a little bit of a story, as I developed my ear a bit, I started to work out the melody of songs, and I basically started to develop my ear for this reason, so that I didn't have to use other people's arrangements and I could save a bit of money, and I could basically do this myself. So this next way of creating an outline, I start to use this one today. So we're going to look at creating chord sheets. Woohoo! So creating chord sheets with basically what I do is write the melody over the lyrics, essentially. So what I'll do with a song is I will take the lyrics of it and I will copy them to a Word document, and I'll leave about 2 or 3 blank spaces between each line of lyric. And then I'll Google or I'll work out by ear the chords of the song and also the key, and I will add these to the sheet. Next, I'll transcribe the melody and I'll write the melody on top of the corresponding lyric word. And it's also a good idea, I think, to add the sections of the song. So, is this part of the song the verse, the chorus, the pre-chorus, the bridge, the outro, the middle 8, I don't know. And the reason for this is actually that it helps to speed up the process because, if you've got a chorus that is repeated, then if you work out the melody of that chorus, you only have to do that once, and then you can just write that over the lyrics when they come to it. And basically, I really like this method because following the lyrics, I can usually already feel the rhythm of the song, because I usually know the song inside out and the lyrics on top of that, so I don't have to really worry about the rhythm side of things. An alternative way of doing this, if you're not a fan of the lyric way, it's something I've done before actually, is to create basically a blank chord sheet and then add the melody notes sort of across the bars. So I will literally write out, like, I don't know, if the melody is C, C, D, E, I will write C, C, D, E, where it would fit as if it was in sort of like sheet music. And I think this is helpful if you are struggling with the rhythm of the song, of the melody. It means that you can, and to keep that in your head, you can like write it out as if it was notes on sheet music, just in sort of shorthand. Okay. So the pros of this way is you're not reliant on other people working the songs out for you, as you can do this yourself. I think it's like quicker than writing out the full sheet music, and you can have the whole piece on like 2 sheets of paper, and the only thing you need really is your laptop and some paper to print it out. I guess the con of this though is that you may need to use your ears to transcribe the melody, and so if you can't do that, I'd definitely recommend the first 2 options. Okay, let's have a look at the final way then, and this is fairly new that I kind of want to try. I've never done it before, but I might do it on the next song that I do, and this is to create your own sheet music. Where am I at with this? Okay, so essentially it is what it says on the tin, really. So you listen to a song and you write out the sheet music for it in terms of the melody and the chords that sit under it. I think an alternative way of doing this, like manually, that I want to trial is to basically, as you're going through the song, once you've worked out the melody, to then like record it into a digital audio workstation. I use Logic. There's reasons for it. I won't go into it in this one, but essentially, yeah, is to record it into a DAW, and then basically what you can do then is, because it's recorded and saved, it will the software, the DAW, will actually like essentially turn the notes that you've recorded into sheet music automatically. So yeah, it's something I'm going to trial. If you've ever done this before, let me know and see how, and turn it into a DAW. So I guess the pro of this is it's quite easy because you don't have to do sort of like the transcribing and then writing it out. You almost like transcribe it in your head and then play it through your instrument, and then the DAW will capture that. But I guess the con of this is that you actually like need a DAW or manuscript paper or know how to be able to create sheet music, and yeah, it might not be your cup of tea. So the last thing I want to mention is why the hell do I go through the effort of creating an outline and having it written down? Is that it means that my brain doesn't have to hold so much information. Like, I don't have to remember the melody and the chords and stuff whilst I'm also experimenting with the arrangement on top at the same time. It allows me to write it all out, and then take in parts of that and experimenting with the arrangement tools and techniques and skills that I have in my arsenal at this current time. And so I also like as well that I can see the whole song and where I want to take it. Like, I can always like create like the story arc that goes alongside the song that I'm trying to discover. Also, as well, you can like keep it forever and come back to the outline. So you might have moved on from the song, but it means that you can take that outline and you can basically trial different ways of arranging it. You could come back to it a few years later, and maybe the way that you do an accompaniment pattern, you might change that, and then you might play with that on that outline. So yeah, I just think it's really useful to have, and it's a starting point for an arrangement. Like, it just lays everything down so that then you can just play a little bit with arranging, and it's been really useful to me to do this. So yeah, would highly recommend trying out creating an outline for yourself if you are new to arranging. And yeah, that's everything I wanted to share today. So that's how I start every song. I want to arrange, I create an outline, and I go from there, experiment and see where the song takes me. Now, if you found this helpful, let me know in the comments. This is the first time I've done this kind of thing, so I would love to hear if you've used any of these outline styles and what you think of them. And also, if you use an alternative method to begin an arrangement, I would love to hear about it in the comments too. I'm open to learning new ways of doing this.